You are in the Temple of the Rants, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Roro, who says to rant about Game of Thrones. Well, I haven't watched any Game of Thrones since the last time I talked about Game of Thrones, back in 2014. I pretty much lost interest in the show after that point. Like, the thing about Game of Thrones is that I appreciated the characters, everything about how well constructed the show is, and the writing and all that, and like the idea of it as this sort of game that you're watching all these characters play out. But I really think the show started to get its priorities out of order in the fourth season, where it felt like, because it's known as this edgy, violent show where characters die horribly, it started to become, just kept pushing the violence and the shock value up in ways that were, in my opinion, just distasteful. Like, Joffrey having to, like, be right in the camera, up-close face shot of his eyes bleeding in broad fucking daylight, or having to watch the Viper's fucking skull cave in. It was just, like, a lot. And, in particular, the fact that they, took a character like the Viper who, basically does nothing but die, and like tried to build him up so much as like a likable character in a way that the book apparently had not done. Just felt like more manipulative, like they just wanted to create a character who you would like so they could kill him, which just kind of pissed me off. And the fourth season also wasted a lot of fucking time. Like, you got even worse about forcing Daenerys to have more repetitive scenes of her just doing the same shit, even though she's long crossed the threshold of being unlikable, and I don't want to fucking watch her at all. It felt like there was a lot more padding and filler, and like the priorities were in the wrong place. And there were still great scenes, great character beats throughout that season. The ending in particular was really good, but like, I don't know, I was kind of soured to the experience after the Viper thing, and I was also concerned about the fact that I knew the show was going to outrun the books before long, and also just that, like, so many of the characters I was interested in were already dead, and so many of the ones who weren't dead were not doing anything all that interesting. Like, Tyrion, it felt like his character arc was kind of done, and like there's not really where else can we go with this, like, I don't know. I was just kind of losing interest in the way things were going in the story, and they kept introducing new characters who I inevitably don't care about as much as the old ones. So yeah, it was just kind of losing my attention, and season 5 came around, and I kind of had concluded that I didn't like watching the show week by week. Like, I thought part of my problem with season 4 was that, like, I had marathoned the first 3, like, a whole season in a night, so if there were slower moments, if there was dragging its feet, it wasn't as apparent. So I figured maybe I'll marathon each season from then on, but then it just seemed like people were more and more down on it every season. Each one seemed to be worse than the last. I was hearing a lot of complaints about the way the story was going, hearing about some ridiculous moments and stuff that was killing the believability of the story here and there. And then, of course, the last season seems like most people hated it, thought it was just a rushed, clusterfuck of a finale. So yeah, I don't feel much reason to go back and watch it. If the show doesn't end well, I feel like I got the most out of it I could when the getting was good. It's just not something I'm that interested in coming back to. And then there's the books, and, I'm not a very big reader, particularly not a big fantasy reader, so I don't think the books are really going to be something I'll probably ever bother with. Yeah, I'm glad it's over, so I don't have to hear about it anymore. Because when you're not watching a show and everybody's fucking talking about it, it's quite annoying. It's quite annoying to be constantly inundated with it when you're like, can we talk about anything else? Is there anything else you people are interested in? Everywhere I go, it's just Game of Thrones memes. Don't care. Don't want to see this. Is there a way I can block just the word, just the whole idea from appearing in front of me? And inevitably, I always end up turning against a show when it gets oversaturated like that. It's harder for me to even want to engage with something when I'm hearing about it fucking constantly, and I get annoyed with the way it's being talked about, or just having it pushed in my face when I'm not even watching it, when I'm trying to do other stuff. Makes me like a show even less. But, it's hard to hold that against the show itself. But yeah, probably not going to bother watching it, considering that everybody hated the ending.